Lewis Black, streaming right now on YouTube. Tragically, I Need You. Tragically, I Need You. Why so tragically? Why is it tragically, Lewis? Why is
it? Because it's, you don't really want to tell people, but because there's a setup that comes before.
Oh, okay.
That sets up.
Okay, so I don't want to give it away. Did I just give away the milk for free, Lewis? Did I just do that?
No.
Okay.
They won't. You know what's great about the audience? They won't remember. Nobody's got a memory anymore. It's spectacular. If you really think after watching the show, there'll be two people who might turn that thing on, but some will turn it on
Lewis,
like a week later.
You have no idea. No. You have no idea. You're on a rocket ship right now.
Oh, that's
you have no idea.
That's tremendous.
You're on at least I like saying that to people. At least hopefully you believe it. So you're from Maryland. You're from the
Silver Spring, Maryland.
Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah.
So that makes you a Commanders fan?
Yes.
Orioles or no?
Orioles.
You
yes,
are.
Absolutely. This is like heaven. This what's happened this year. Heaven.
Heaven being
the Orioles, winning the pennant. Are you kidding me? This is way ahead of
with 100 wins.
Yeah,
being the one seed in a playoff that they get the first week off in. And then the one win that you were talking about on our Roku channel feed, I'd love for you to repeat for the radio audience. The one win the Commanders had in August.
Which
the removal of
the Dan Snyder.
Snyder. That's the ultimate win.
Oh yeah, I forget that there are other victories. Sometimes, what victory did we get? A victory and I missed it.
It's a preseason victory, unlike any other.
It's literally in the history of sports. I rarely remember any moment when a city as one rose together and just screamed hallelujah. Hallelujah, free at last. I mean, it was unbelievable.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Like the Wicked Witch. Yeah. I know. And I would get people coming up to me for years saying, is it possible that he can leave? And I'm like, I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, no, he's unbelievable.
And gone. See you later. But did you go to the old RFK? Did you go to those games?
Yeah,
at the
I
old
went
RFK?
to a few of those. And then, it was really, RFK was wild. It was fun. It was different. It was great.
I went to a couple games in RFK, and I remember sitting in the second deck, the top deck.
Right, yeah, that's where I was.
And it was right over the end zone. And whenever there was a play in the back of the end zone, I had to get up and lean over to see what was going on underneath the edge of the second deck. And then I thought at a couple times after Washington scored that the place was going to fall apart because it shook.
Yeah, no.
The stadium literally shook.
And they kept playing there. You saw it, and then they kept playing and playing.
Yeah.
And I think soccer played there for a while. It's great,
That was truly one. And then I sat in the same seats for the same season ticket holders in the new place, and I felt like I was watching the game from Delaware.
Yeah.
And in the world's largest air bill, in the history
and now
of that
we're
stadium.
going to get a new stadium because we have to have a new stadium every 10 years now. It's unbelievable. That eventually will be written about as the fall of, kind of like the fall of Rome. How many stadiums can you build on the head of a pin?
Right.
Seriously.
Well, maybe it'll be downtown, right? Or in the spot of RFK.
They keep yelling about putting it in Virginia. That'll be good. That'll be a nice place to put it. The Washington Redskins in Virginia. The Washington Commanders. I'm sorry.
So who was your favorite team? Your favorite player growing up, Lewis? Who got you into sports to begin with?
To begin with, it was there was a few. There was Brooks Robinson, Sonny Jurgensen.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny Jurgensen was great when he started for the team because all of a sudden we were competitive.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we'd lose 34-0. Now we were losing 34-21.
Yeah.
So for us it was like, woo!
Right.
Look at this. Mm-hmm. Charlie Taylor, Bobby Mitchell.
Those are the guys.
Those guys. Yeah. Johnny Unitas. I've got a football autograph by Johnny Unitas. Now I'm like 9. I'm talking to you as if a 9-year-old.
Sure, you please.
I was at a charity event at Duke University, and I'm in line with Johnny Unitas, who really is probably the one that I really was the most into as a kid.
Sure.
The guy who, and we're standing in line, and we're talking, and then he gets a bottle of wine to take to the table, and I go, "I have a glass of wine," and he just slaps me on the arm. He goes, "You get a bottle. Do you want to come back here?" And I thought, this man is my idol.
It's something that he could teach you for the rest. It's a life lesson from Johnny Unitas.
From Johnny Unitas.
Man, I remember I met him one time. I shook his hand, and the one thing I will never forget is his index finger was the longest finger on his hand. I've never seen that. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's how the tight spirals come from.
Yep.
Honestly, when I shook his hand, it felt like his hand went up to my forearm.
Yeah, and that his hand, but also his hand was kind of gnarled because
of course.
The amount of the amount of broken, probably how many times his hands was broken.
I'm sure, right on top of somebody's helmet, following through and things like that. Lewis Black here on the Rich Eisen Show. Tragically, I Need You is streaming right now on YouTube. How'd you get your start? Where'd you get started?
Well, I started as a playwright.
Okay.
So now, then I say, this is interesting about saying the word playwright.
Sure.
Literally, thousands, maybe millions in your audience fall asleep when they hear that word. He started as what? Yes, I wrote plays. Now they're drifting. But that's what I did for 20 years.
And then when did you get into stand-up? How'd you get into stand-up?
Well, I was doing stand-up on the side because it was a way in which you could write something and get it out there. Because if you wrote a play and you sent it off, it would take a year and a half for them to get back and go, no.
Right.
And I actually thought that the best way to actually get a play published was to put it in a bottle and throw it into the Hudson River and let it float away. And then someone would pick it up somewhere, and at least you knew that the schmuck would read it. Somebody somewhere would read it. You had a better chance of it being read. But I was doing stand-up on the side for fun. And then it became what people really seemed to think was, they gravitated to it. And then all of a sudden, Catch a Rising Star in New York was asking me to work there. And that was the kind of, it began that transition.
Who were in the clubs when you were starting? Who were in the clubs?
It was the group that I was with. And now I'm like 40 when I start as a stand-up. It's Dennis Leary, Mario Cantone, Kevin Meaney, and Rosie O'Donnell was the host, and it was a lot of fun.
Catch a Rising Star. How'd you get hooked up with the Daily Show? How did that happen?
That was just dumb luck because the Liz Winstead, who was the executive producer, and Hank Gallo was one of the producers, knew my work, and I was kind of a comic working in New York that everybody went, gee, how come things aren't going well? And how come you're still just here? I had all of this material, and I was yelling about a bunch of stuff, and they needed somebody to come in, and they needed material. And I came in, and initially, it was, I sat at a desk, there was no audience, and I would improv it, and I'd just yell about something, and they'd go, we like this, do it again. I'd do it again, do it again, and that was where it started.
Were you there when Kilborn was there? Or
yeah, of course. I was there from the very beginning.
I was there. I did Sports Centers with him back in '96 before he took me. He said, "Let's go out to dinner, Spark." And so I went out to dinner with him, and he took me through the drive-through of a Kenny Rogers Roll-In Roaster in Southington, Connecticut, and started explaining to me that there was this new show that he might leave Sports Center for, and he described the Daily Show to me. Yeah. Of course, typical of Killer, he would say to me, he goes, "Do you think I should do it?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm 26. I just got here from Redding, California, market 200. I'm psyched to be here. You're really going to leave?" And that's what he did. And he left.
And the only man to read a whole series of jokes and have no idea where the joke was. It was stunning to watch. I gave him a bottle of scotch when he left, and it took a year for him to say thank you. I mean, come on. And it was a great bottle of scotch. If you don't think that I was irritated about that, I mean, after Johnny Unitas had already told me to keep the
bottle. And then Jon Stewart comes in, and he's, I revere him. In the same way you revere Johnny Unitas, I revere
he did a
Jon
great
Stewart.
job. I mean, the show became his show, and he really managed it to be what it became, and it really was about. I mean, I ended up doing those shows whenever that he felt that the arc of the show needed me. So, I mean, he really did show by show by show. The show will be this, the show will be that, and then when they needed somebody at the end to to be a big barking dog, they'd bring me in.
Well, when did you find that style? Is that the way you are off the off
if
camera?
I was like that, if I'm acting like the way I act on stage all the time, I'd be dead. I wouldn't even be here for this. You'd have two guys out there with pads going, "Ho! Let's try to get him back." No, it was tough because I started to realize I was funny when I was frustrated and angry. People thought that was funny, which is, in the end, kind of sad that when you're really angry about something and people just laughing at you, you kind of. But it never struck me as really, something that I didn't want to pursue. But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to yell directly at the audience, and I would turn around and yell at the wall. And then I realized that I could yell at them, and I got comfortable with it. And then I realized they liked it. I mean, you go to a town and say, your town sucks. My town does suck. How did he know? Well, it didn't take long. It was 5 minutes.
Well, is this where I should read where you're coming to next?
No.
Escondido, California. Your town sucks on the 6th of October.
Yeah, if we find it. I keep yelling Escondido means hidden. Well, how hidden can it be?
Well, the city with lights in this big sphere, Las Vegas. You'll be at the Mirage Theater on October 7th.
Yeah, and it sucks. Think about it. How much stuff can you shove into one area? They put that big sphere in. I mean, I performed at the T-Mobile Center.
Yeah.
They just keep shoving. You can't put anything more in. They just shove something else in.
That's what Las Vegas means, I think, is just keep shoving stuff in. Reading, PA, Rochester, New York, Utica, New York, throughout the rest of October. LewisBlack.com to get more tour dates and tickets. So before I let you go, we decided, you know what? We should have you read some of the most famous athlete coaching rants in the history of sports television.
Yep.
As Lewis Black
can
only do. And so we've written them down on the cards right there to your left. Here we go. Okay, moving the mug. And we figured, let's just get this thing done. You do your full Lewis Black.
Yep.
Right there. Okay.
And then
let's start first up. I believe you have the famous Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
But did this just happen a 15-year anniversary?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay. This is when he was very upset about media criticizing his players. Mike Gundy's famous "I'm a man, I'm 40" speech. Lewis Black had it.
And Oklahoma State. My father went to the University of Oklahoma.
Oh, fantastic. So this should be, you should really feel it.
The first Jew to cross the border.
How about it, sir?
Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today, huh? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me where our coaches don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then said that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true, so get your facts straight. That's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
Lewis Black, well done. Outstanding rendition. Okay, the famed Dennis Green Monday Night Football loss to the Chicago Bears after the Bears come out back. The famed Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were speech. Lewis Black, how about it?
The Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Lewis Black. That was his perfect. And then now finally, here we go. The famed Allen Iverson practice rant.
Yeah.
Doesn't need any more setup other than Lewis Black.
Yeah, except that my setup would be that this was about me practicing piano.
So then perfect. You could channel that inner young child, Lewis Black. How about it?
If I can't practice, I can't practice. If I'm hurt, I'm hurt. Simple as that. It's not about that at all. But it's easy to talk about and sum it up when you just talk about practice. We're sitting here, and I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice? I mean, listen, we're talking about practice, not a game, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice, not a game, not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that? We're talking about practice.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. That is exactly what we thought we would get.
Thank you.
You are who we thought we were. You are. Lewis Black, Tragically, I Need You, at the Lewis Black on Twitter and Instagram. It's streaming right now on YouTube. Come back anytime, sir.
I will. I'll come back and do that. What was the one where the guy went to the mound and went completely psychotic on the...
Which one?
I don't know if it was...
was it Robin Ventura on Nolan Ryan? That could do the noogies?
Was that or the one that...
Earl Weaver?
Earl Weaver.
Well, I don't... That will have to do After Dark.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
that,
all right.
by the way, is on
just
YouTube.
Do it and
that was the umpire, Bill Haller, and that is one of my favorite YouTube videos ever.
It's phenomenal.
Because, you know, the backstory to that is the umpire was mic'd for some local show, or I think it was Inside Edition or something like that. The umpire was mic'd. And when you see the video of Earl, because trust me, I've seen this so many times. Yeah. See the video of Earl Weaver coming out. Just look at the scoreboard in the old Memorial Stadium behind him. It's the top of the first.
I forgot.
It's the top of the first. And the games used to start at like 7:30 at the time. It was like 7:34 or 7:30. Like it's just 5 minutes in, top of the first. He's going ballistic over a balk call.
Yeah.
And just the back and forth between the two of them. And my favorite line is, and I'll clean it up, is when Earl Weaver keeps, because he goes back to the dugout, and he's got another thing. He keeps coming back to the umpire. And he says to the umpire, "You just wait until I'm in the 4 or 5 years and I'm in the Hall of Fame." And the umpire goes, "What are you going to the Hall of Fame for? Earl, effing up World Series? Is that what you're going to the Hall of Fame?"
It's really good.
Oh my gosh! So yes, we'll do that the next time, but after dark.
And then just beep it out.
No, my gosh,
bleep,
it'll sound like a truck backing up.
Yeah.
Lewis Black right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.